Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the USDA SBIR program webinar. I'm Karen West. I am the Maine Technology Institute's MTI's SBIR consultant. I manage, if you will, MTI's SBIR STTR Assistance Program, and we call it TAP, Technical Assistance Program. And it is a pro bono service that is offered by MTI to Maine small businesses interested in creating and drafting competitive proposals to the SBIR STTR program. We'll talk more about that later, but now first, I'd like to introduce you to Melinda Coffman, who's the program coordinator at USDA, that's the Department of Agriculture's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. She'll be our primary topic speaker today, and then we'll talk about TAP. We'll have some Q&A, and then I'll give a plug for the National Science Foundation SBIR STTR webinar that we're going to be doing in June 7th, actually. And one of the first things I think Melinda will be talking about is, USDA only has an SBIR program and does not have an STTR program. So there are 11 federal agencies, and one of the first things I would say is there are nuances between them all. And so it's my job to help guide you through the nuances as you craft your proposals. Melinda, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate it. Well, as Karen said, I'm Melinda Kaufman. I'm the program coordinator for the USDA SBIR program, and we're housed within NIFA, which is the National Institute of Food and Agriculture in the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And I'm very happy to be here. I have some contact information here. There's my email, and then we have a general SBIR mailbox, which you're welcome to use too. And we have 2 program specialists that man that. Thank you so much for inviting me to present at the Maine Technology Institute. And I'm just really happy to be here. And I hope that we can answer all your questions and give you the information that is vital for any of you that are thinking of applying for an SBIR grant. I will take this opportunity to mention that while we don't have an STTR program at this particular moment, that is something that is probably pretty close on the horizon. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see what happens. I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about our USDA SBIR program goals, or rather they're really SBIR program goals across the federal government. So we want to stimulate technological innovations in the private sector. That's why these are science and technology-based grants for small businesses. And that hopefully will strengthen the role of small business, and with the end goal being of increasing commercialization of these innovations. So we are really interested in scientific and technical innovations that are applied to agriculture, that even high risk, high reward proposals are welcome. So we understand that small business is the sector of the economy that most often disrupts. We welcome those, and we're interested in them. And last but certainly not least is that we are really in a push to foster and encourage participation for historically underserved communities, women and minorities, hub zones, all of those types of populations. We would really welcome your proposals. We would love to increase the number of proposals, and we would love to increase the number of awards given to those populations. We have a non-discrimination statement. And so we do not, if you'll look here in this first paragraph, there is a lot of information. I believe you're going to get these slides. So I want to tell you most about the SBIR program, but this is a very serious piece. We have a non-discrimination statement. We really abide by it. It is important to us. And so again, any of these things listed in the first paragraph and the whole page actually is something that we really stand by. So the USDA SBIR program is structured kind of like this. There's a phase one, and that is meant to establish your technical merit and feasibility, and then along with the commercial potential for your project. And phase one is a proof of concept project, and it runs usually 8 months, although it's very easy to get a 12-month extension, so you can have up to 20 months. And a lot of that is based on, you know, it is agriculture, and a lot of things are crop-based or seasonally based. So you can have, you know, anywhere from 8 months to 20 months for a phase one. Phase two, those are funded to continue the research and development that was initiated in phase one. It has to be a continuation of phase one. And the funding is based on some of the results that you have either achieved or look like you're achieving in phase one. And then, you know, probably most importantly, the scientific and technical merit of your proposal for phase two. And phase two is going to be a little more heavily focused, well, a lot more heavily focused on the commercial potential. So that is really important. And at phase three, it's important to know that we do not fund phase three. Some SBIR programs do fund phase three, but the USDA does not at this point fund phase three. But there are a lot of opportunities out there for funding for when you get to phase three. Our annual budget is about 30 million. And for phase one, the award sizes range from 125,000 to 175,000. And again, it's 8 months, but it's easy to get a 12-month extension. For phase two, the award amount is 600,000, and that typically runs 24 months. So for phase one, these are some of our outcomes. For FY20, there were 70 awards out of 435 applications. It was a 16% success rate. And in FY21, it was a 15%. And for phase two, it's a higher percent rate, a percent of awards that are won. So in FY20, it was 43%. FY21, it's 48%. We are hoping to get that phase two award rate amount a little higher. Phase one, we are, you know, it is highly competitive, and we are trying our best to award as many as we can. We get so many excellent proposals, but we are limited by our budget. So I'm not sure how much we'll be able to budge that in the future. So some success metrics for phase one include if you're selling your technology and services, the licenses that you're able to get, and the jobs that you're able to create. Those are very important things as measures of success. And some features of the USDA program are, you know, the ideas are investigator initiated. And again, the awards are based, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but it's very important that awards are based on scientific and technical merit, on your commercial potential for the innovation. Will it actually work in the market? And the case you make for that. And then the PI and the company qualifications. Subcontracting to universities and federal labs is permitted and encouraged. That can be a USDA federal lab, it can be another federal lab. So we really support subcontracting to those universities and labs. And then we also offer technical and business assistance, which I'll talk more about. So what is technical and business assistance? It's Taba or Taba, however you prefer to say it. And it was first introduced as part of the John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act in fiscal year 2019. Taba is there to help. Many of our proposals come from scientists. And so it's there to help a little bit with the business side, because the whole thing about SBIR is that you have to have a scientific innovation, but you also have to have a really good commercial potential. And therefore you need some business savvy around that. And sometimes it's difficult to have both. So we added Taba to give a little boost to the business side, and Taba can help with things like your IP legal costs, marketing, market research, financial review, budget issues, and consultation on funding strategies. And that's just a small list. There are many things that they can help with. Taba can help with. And here's the budget for Taba. So I want to be very clear that this does not come out of your budget for your project. This is on top of that. The USDA pays for this portion. So it's no cost to you. It doesn't take away from anything in your project. It's just meant to help you get your product to market. So phase one, it's $6,500. And really phase one is kind of focused on developing a commercialization plan for phase two, because it's in phase two that commercialization really ramps up. And so then in phase two, you'll have, this is optional. You do not have to have Taba, but this is what, we're offering. But you can have $50,000 on top of your award amount, which is $600,000 in phase two. So a total of $650,000 to help accelerate commercialization of the innovation into the market. And I'm just going to go back very briefly and say that the way you access Taba services for phase one and phase two is different. So if you decide to pursue this, it's something worth looking on our website or speaking to one of us about, because it is a little different. I'm going to touch briefly on our topic areas now. So we have 10 topic areas, and each of our topic areas is purposely fairly broad, and they are broad for the purpose of being able to capture innovations. We can't anticipate, what all the innovations are going to be. So that is why we keep them fairly broad. But as you can see, it goes from forests and related resources. And then we have 2 plant production and protection topic areas. One is 8.2 and the other is down here at 8.13. 8.2 is focused on biology, portion of plant production and protection. 8.13 is engineering. And then, of course, we have animal production and protection. We have conservation of natural resources, soil, air, and water is what it used to be called, if that gives you a better description. Food science and nutrition is a large area. We have rural and community development, aquaculture, biofuels, bio-based products, and small and mid-sized farms. So you might notice that 8.6 rural and community development and 8.12 small and mid-sized farms are different colors. And that is to help remind me to let you know that these 2 topic areas are a little bit different in that of our 10 topic areas, 8 of them require completely new innovation, scientific or technical innovation, something that has not been, is not out there in the market yet. However, 8.6 rural and community development and 8.12 small and mid-sized farms, those 2 topic areas do allow for off-the-shelf technology to be used if it's used in an innovative way. So it's the way you use it. The innovation comes from the way you use it in those two topic areas. And this slide, we like to have this slide here just to remind everyone that USDA and agriculture is based in science. I think some people are into the belief that it's just about livestock or plows and fields, but it's very much a scientific field. And so if you have an innovation that that is scientific in nature, and this is just a sampling of what those are: nanotechnology, machine vision, information technology, robotics, any of these, you might take some time and think whether or not your innovation might have a agricultural application. So if it's scientific, think about us, think about agriculture, look at our 10 topic areas and see if there might be a fit. This is our timeline for awards, and this is our ideal timeline. I have to say that because sometimes last year, for example, we had some delays. And so this is what we hope to do each year. And this is typically what's done. So this year we are planning and are pretty much on track for a phase 1 RFA release in July of this year. And then the deadline would be early October of this year. Panels will be held in December of 22 through January of 23. And then awards are given June through July. You'll be notified of awards earlier than that, but the awards are actually given in through June and July. Phase 2 is only open to phase 1 awardees. Some SBIR programs do have a straight to phase 2, but we do not. You have to have a phase 1 award first. And so typically the RFA is released in December 22, and the proposal deadline is, that says April, but it's probably actually going to be March next year. I didn't catch that. We'll have to change that. So March of 2023, if everything stays on track. Panels are held in May and June, and awards are given in August. And this is a little bit about the USDA SBIR review process. So we have a peer review panel made up of outside experts from across from academia, from industry, from federal labs, from nonprofits, but we just try to find the best experts in the field to help evaluate these proposals. And all the applicants will receive verbatim copies of their proposals. And then phase 1 applicants, since remember, it is really competitive. So if you do not make it the first cycle, you're able to reapply during the next solicitation cycle. There's no limit on how many times you can apply in phase 1. So you can take that verbatim feedback from the panel and use it to tweak your proposal, and then reapply with a stronger proposal the following cycle. And phase 2 applicants are only able to apply one time. And this is a little bit about a cooperative research and development agreement, or it's called a CRADA. And this is a license with a USDA or federal lab for an innovation. CRADAs are really great things to have because they actually do give you a bit of an advantage. If we have 2 proposals They're judged by the panel to be of equal merit, but one of them has a CRADA that gives a distinct advantage to that proposal, and that will be the proposal that will win if they are of equal value as judged by the panel. Scientists can serve as consultants or receive a subcontract and continue to work full-time at their home institution. They are limited to no more than 1/3 of the phase 1 award or 1/2 of the phase 2 award. And scientists can also serve as a PI, but they have to reduce their employment at their home institution to 49% or less for the duration of the grant. And it's usually not acceptable for a university or government scientist to serve as a consultant and have research done in their lab. They have to find other laboratory facilities. And this again is about the CRADA agreement. If you think that is something you might be interested in, this is a good time to start. If you're planning to apply for phase 1, they do take a while. And so this would be a really good time to start that process for a CRADA agreement if you think that that is something that would be a good fit with your technology. And here are some factors that can improve the chances of award success. Again, we look at the scientific and technical merit and the commercial potential. Those things are equally important. You have to have a balance of high risk and high reward is something that we welcome. You don't have to have that. We fund things that are in other risk categories, but we also welcome these high risk, high reward. Having good consultants is important, and demonstrating that in your proposal, and having, as we talked about, a CRADA agreement is important. Showing that in your proposal that you do have some business expertise on your team or have access to business expertise. Strong letters of support are very important, actually, and you need those from phase 3 partners. So customers, investors, any type of phase 3 partner, having a strong letter of support, having 2 or 3 of those is really an important thing to do. It will give you an advantage. And then in your proposal, if you can demonstrate that you have a clear understanding of how you're going to enter the market with your innovation and how you're going to sustain in the market with your innovation. And here's just some information about how to kind of get started. You have to register with SBIR.gov, and that's true for any SBIR project. And then you have to require the steps necessary to register on grants.gov. Again, true for any SBIR program. So the thing with register with SAM.gov is that you need to have a little time set aside for that, because it can take up to 7 weeks to get the EIN for that. So we like you to have that at the time you apply. I will say that during the pandemic that grants.gov kind of suspended that requirement that you have a SAM.gov number at the time of application. I don't know if they're going to go back and say you have to have that, but I will tell you that in the past, we have had multiple companies not be able to miss the deadline because they did not have their SAM.gov number yet. And so my advice is that you go ahead and get that, because we don't know how long there'll be a grace period with that. So if you could just start, that's something you could do now if you think you're going to apply for any SBIR grant. And then lastly, once you have that, then you can create your grants.gov username and account. And here's some more advice for the phase 1 applications. You can contact the national program leader for the topic area that you believe your innovation fits in. You can contact them with for a consult. And the way I always suggest that is best to contact them is to send them an email and ask and give a really brief, like 1 paragraph, informal summary of your innovation and your project idea. Again, just very brief. And then ask for a consultation with them and set up a time. Usually they have 15 to 20-minute slots. So that's something we encourage people to do. And I will say here that the national, because we have 10 topic areas and because they're broad, sometimes or oftentimes, I guess I would say, a project will seem to fit in more than 1 topic area. And it may be hard to decide what is the right fit. You can, if you are leaning towards one, you can have a consult with that national program leader from that topic area. And that national program leader will be able to tell you if you are a better fit. We also have an SBIR national program leader who can help you with that if you're having trouble deciding where the best fit for your project is. Also, it's so important to follow all the application guidelines for format, page limits, and required docs. So right now you can go on our website and you can download the phase 1 RFA from last year that closed last November. And you can get an idea of what is required, but the formatting will change with the new one. So you can't, so I would say, please don't use that one to actually write. You can just get an idea, more information about the topic areas, who the national program leaders are, what is required in your proposal, those types of things from last year's RFA. But be sure you get the new one when it is published, which we are hoping will be July. And you can sign up on grants.gov to be notified when it is actually published. Ensure that your application responds to all the review criteria listed in the RFA. And the most important thing is read the RFA. It really, I know it's dense. I know it's not an exciting read, but it really has a lot of valuable information in there. And so please get to know the RFA and read that. More advice. So when you're writing your proposal, if you can take just a brief amount of space to provide a vision to the peer review team of what your innovation is and where you see it going in the market and how you see that happening. What is the pathway for your innovation to get to market, be successful? And focus on critical enabling factors. Sell the importance of your project in alignment with USDA priorities. Those priorities are listed. You can just Google them, but they're also listed in the RFA. So align them with the USDA priorities that apply to your innovation. And be sure you must provide a detailed experimental plan, and it has to conclude proprietary information. That's how it's judged by the panel. We're very careful. So we've never, to my knowledge, we have never had any kind of problem with a leak about proprietary information. So we take that very seriously. So you really have to provide that. And then, again, talk about the commercial potential, and then those letters of support show the connectivity with communities. Now I want to just take a few slides really quickly and talk about some application assistance resources. So there's small business development centers There are 62 of them in all, and there's at least one in each state. And this is a website where you can access all the SBDC web organizations throughout the country and choose which one might work for you. They provide assistance to small businesses, and that includes SBIR applications. And then there are federal and state technology partnership programs, which are called FAST programs, and they provide funding to help increase the number of awards for women and socially and economically disabled individuals and small businesses that are in underrepresented areas, like rural areas. And this is the website where you can go to look for those. There are also SBA growth accelerators. They're incubators also, and those are really good resources also to help you get your proposal together. This website to find local assistance for SBIR proposals is really valuable, I think. So you go in there and there's a drop-down menu, and you populate it with your state, and all of these resources will pop up. And so I think that's a very valuable resource, and I would highly encourage you to use that. Lastly, I'll just go through quickly a few SBIR success stories so you get a flavor for what we fund. This is not comprehensive at all, but it will just give you a little flavor. Prairie Aquatech, they developed a natural process to convert soybean meal to fish feed using microbial enhancement. The name of their product is MePro, and they had a lot of commercialization success, including a recipient of a 2019 Aquafeed Innovation Award in Cologne, Germany. They're currently producing 30,000 tons of MePro. So that's a fantastic success. We're very proud of them. Sunsite Wind, Inc. Sunsite Wind is in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and the founder is Dr. Devin McIntosh. And he has had funding. He's had 7 SBIR grants that range from 2002 to 2014. And his technology is really, has a lot of potential, and is still in a commercialization phase. He has small wind turbines that can successfully compete with rooftop solar, even in moderate wind areas. So that's a really important technology that is really advancing. Imbrex. Imbrex is a little older SBIR recipient, but we like to feature it just to show you the commercialization success that is possible. They developed a higher throughput and superior technology for ovo vaccination. The technology provided benefits enhance efficiency and bird performance. And they've had great commercialization success. In 2001, they had $44 million worth of revenues, and they were purchased by Pfizer. This is our brochure, brand new, hot off the press. So please go to our website and take a look at our brochure. It has a lot of information, and there's some of which I went over today, but there's a lot more in there too. Again, I'm Melinda Coffman. I'm the SBIR program coordinator. That's my email. You can also just go to the SBIR at USDA.gov mailbox and ask questions, send an email to them. And then this is on the other side of the screen is the web page that we have. And we hope that you will go and look around. There's a lot of information on our website. And so I hope you will go and look around. And if you do want to look at last year's RFA just to get an idea, that is on our website, and it's pretty clear how to get there. So that concludes my presentation, and thank you very much for taking the time to listen. I hope it's been helpful.
Great, Melinda. Thank you so much. That was awesome. A lot of information in a very short period of time. We have a few minutes before we jump on to talking about the Maine Technology Institute's SBIR TTR program. So does anyone have any questions for Melinda? If so, you can unmute and ask her the questions directly.
I have one question. So is there any way of coordinating the Taba and the SBTC? In other words, is there any limitations? It doesn't matter how much you leverage the two? Or?
I'm not.
In other words, if you use SBDC, does it affect your Taba in any way, or it doesn't matter? It's sort of like free reign between the two. You can tap all the Taba ones and then still use. So you're leveraging one against the other, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, you can use any of the organizations that assist with it, whether that be SBDC or FAST program or Accelerator. You can use those and Taba, and I would encourage you to do both. I mean, why not get as much help as you can?
So that leads me on to a question. Does USDA offer any Taba support from, say, Dawnbreaker or Foresight anymore? Is there a choice?
Yes. So for do you mind if I just take a minute and go through this? Because I do want to, it's a little complicated. I just want to make it as clear as possible. For phase one and phase two are different as far as Taba goes. For phase one, we have an in-house provider. It is LARTA, which is LARTA, and can look it up if you want. And so they are our in-house provider. You can submit a proposal and then ask for our in-house, but you can also go with another Taba provider. And if you do that, you have to submit that with your proposal. You can't do that after you've submitted your proposal. And thirdly, you can pull together your own Taba. So for instance, it's $6,500 for phase one. So for instance, say you wanted a marketing plan with a marketer, and then you needed a little bit of services from a CPA, you could pull those together, submit it with your proposal, and that would be the way to access it. So if you go with another Taba provider besides LARTA, or you pull together your own Taba, you have to submit that with your proposal. If you want to use our in-house provider, LARTA, then you don't have to submit it with your proposal. You can just ask for it if you're awarded. For phase two, it is completely different. Phase two, there is no in-house provider. If you want Taba, which is $50,000 on top of your $600,000 award, you have to submit it with your proposal. It's really important because we have had a few people who thought they could access it afterwards, and you can't. So it's a little confusing because they're different, but just keep those things in mind, I guess, or ask us about it.
Super. Thank you so much. Other questions? Well, if not, I certainly do. So, but feel free seriously to jump in. The current RFA that's out there says that it was good for FY 2023 with a due date in October. You're saying to ignore that one and to watch for the new one that'll be coming up in July.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And you can, again, go to grants.gov. I should have had that website open that you can go to and sign up to be notified when it is released. So RFAs our RFAs are often 2-year RFAs. And so that I know sometimes is a little confusing, but it's fine to look at this one, the one from last year that closed in November, to get a flavor for it and to understand it. The topic areas are not going to change. Okay. So, and the things you need to do, the documents you have to have, what you need in your proposal, that's not going to change. The formatting is going to change, and that can knock you out. So don't use the formatting from the one from last November.
Good, good. That helps me from a advising point of view to at least allows them to get started and start fleshing out the scope of work or you know, pulling their team together and what have you. Super.
Yes. And our wonderful program specialist has just put in, I knew she would, the website where you can sign up in the chat, where you can sign up at grants.gov to be notified when the phase 1 USDA SBIR award is released.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Jennifer, you have a question.
Yes, I do. It's really to refresh my memory, but it looks like there's a advantage in having a CRADA for the phase 1. Is that, and that could be up to 1/3 of the phase 1 award allocated in that. Is that different than having, for example, the University of Maine as a consultant, or could that be one and the same?
Well, a CRADA agreement is usually with a federal lab, often with a USDA lab. I mean, because these are USDA topic areas, but it can be with a federal lab. So it's specifically that. But you can, you know, you can, and we encourage you to partner with either as a consultant or a subcontractor, a university to help with the research portion of your project. So, you know, developing in phase 1 a proof of concept, and, you know, getting assistance with performing that. So you can if you pursue a CRADA, you know, you can see if there is a fit in any of the federal labs for your project, and pursue it that way. Or you can go with a university and work with them as a consultant or a subcontractor. Does that?
So it's one or the other?
Yes. Usually, that's a really good question. I don't think you would use, if you use a federal lab, then you, like one of the advantages of using a federal lab is that there's very little cost to you. I mean, you don't have to rent the laboratory there, you know, it's there for you. The only cost that you would have to bear is if you need a piece of equipment that they don't have, then they expect you to buy that. But that is the advantage. So it is, if you have a CRADA agreement, it's usually just working with that federal lab.
Now, along that same lines, Melinda, does the CRADA still count as part of the 33% that can be subcontracted out?
Well, CRADA agreements are different in that it's really, there's really no cost except to the small business.
Okay.
Because you're providing a service to the federal government also with your project. If your project is considered, you know, something that would benefit the U.S. government and the public, ultimately the public, then yeah, it's no cost.
Great, great. Thank you. Other questions for Melinda? No? Okay, and if you do come up with them, we might have some time at the end to address to Melinda. Melinda, thank you again so very much. Now I would like to go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen and introduce you to Shane Beckham, Senior Investment Officer at the Maine Technology Institute. And I'm going to have to try and do this somehow so that I can see both screens. Shane, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Thanks, Karen. Good morning, everybody. As Karen said, I'm Shane Beckham. I have been a senior investment officer at MTI for many years now. It's my job to work with Karen and our resources to provide services and education to the public about the SBIR program. And so Karen is taking under her wing one of those exercises today. And I see some familiar faces in here and some new faces. Thank you, Melinda, for joining us. We didn't formally meet, but I did catch a part of your presentation. Thank you for participating today. So a little bit about MTI while we're here and how we can help as well. So MTI, just a little historical reference, has been around since 1999. We are a private nonprofit organization. However, we were created from the Maine legislature back then to help stimulate and support the small business and economic initiatives in the state of Maine for a number of reasons, but one of them is to help leverage additional investment into the state of Maine, like SBIR, into small businesses that are looking to develop new and innovative technologies. So SBIR really is at the core of what MTI does. And even in our legislation, we are tasked with the responsibility of promoting and educating and supporting businesses in going after federal SBIR funds. So we'll talk just a few minutes about how we do that now with our technical assistance program. Karen, you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide?
All right, let's see if I can do it. Oh, there we go.
There we go. So like everything else, we have an acronym for this. We are the main MTI's technical assistance program is what we call TAP, and it is a free service to our clients. It's I won't say free, it's at no cost to our clients. We pay for the resources that we provide to our clients here in the state of Maine to seek and pursue and obtain SBIR, STTR funding for your company. They provide expert guidance to small businesses in a number of ways. The biggest challenge with a lot of folks in Maine is that they're just not familiar with SBIR. So doing this educational outreach and educating them on what it is and why they should be interested and how they can access those funds is really at the core of what Karen and her team bring to the table in terms of supporting the SBIR program overall. Educating the public on what the programs are, because there are 11 different agencies, and Melinda's here talking about USDA, which is one of 11, and each one of them has their own unique rules and requirements and deadlines and RFAs and everything else. And so it can be difficult waters to navigate if you're not familiar with a lot of this terminology. So Karen and the team, the TAP team, they help provide that support and education to the customers to identify maybe the agencies that are most applicable and to see if there are any topics that might be a good fit for the company to go after some of those SBIR funds. Once that's identified, Karen and the team helps with the proposal development, developing the commercialization strategy. We have some market research services, accounting assistance. All of that is again, at no cost to the client. And we provide that on behalf of the state of Maine to these small businesses going after these federal funds. Karen, go ahead and go to the next slide. I think we have, do we still have the quadrant, I think? Karen,
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I think that replaced it, unfortunately.
Okay, so to access some of these services and how it works is you would visit the MTI website at mainetechnology.org. An intake will be generated, and Karen and your investment officer that's assigned to work with you will be notified that you are interested in seeking SBIR proposal assistance. Karen will reach out to you and schedule a meeting to determine whether or not there's a fit, and we call that the discovery session, to see if there's a fit to a particular agency or a topic or a deadline, and whether or not overall your innovation would be a fit for the SBIR funding opportunity. Once that solicitation is identified, you can then go ahead and register with Karen to go after those SBIR funds. Karen will walk you through the proposal process. She will not write your proposal for you. That is a key component to all of this. And we want to make sure we are upfront about that. And we'll talk a little bit more about other resources. But as Melinda mentioned, there are a number of resources that will help you in the proposal preparation components. In addition to, MTI does offer some funding to access some of those resources, some other resources as well. She will guide you through the proposal preparation process. She will provide review and editorial feedback and comment along with the other members of the team, ultimately all the way up through submission of your proposal. So this is a little bit of a hand-holding effort where, but it takes a cooperation from the client to be able to provide drafts and take into consideration the feedback, listen to the guidance that you're being given by folks that have done this hundreds and hundreds of times and successfully help companies bring those funds to the state of Maine. So that's why we offer these services, and that's why it's important for you to access them. So once you go to the MTI website, you fill out the intake form, that will start to launch into the process of working with the technical assistance program team. Next slide, Karen. I did see a question there. Yep. We'll talk about that. I did see that. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Come on. Oh, I have to click back on the slides to make them active.
All right. So I will mention that comment now, Karen, because it is fitting to the other part. So Karen noted that the Maine Procurement Technical Assistance Center, ptac.org, is also a free service to help with getting your company registered, which can be a tricky component of the SBIR proposal and application process. So we will probably refer to you to work with PTAC as well. But again, that's part of, sort of the all hands on deck service that we would offer, and you would be given that advice. That is a component that they have taken on and they're experts at with the registration process. So we defer to them to assist you with that component of the proposal process, and we will be sure to get you in contact with the folks at PTAC to help with that as well.
Right.
So in addition to the free TAP support, there's also some funding to help support some other activities relative to the SBIR, STTR proposal. So if you are working with our technical assistance program team, we have what is the equivalent of, before we even get to phase 1 funding, phase 0 funding. We have phase 0 funding that could be an allocation of up to $5,000 to your company to help with bring in additional resources that maybe the TAP team doesn't provide, or the agency doesn't provide, or any other partners don't provide, like perhaps grant writing services. If you needed to hire a grant writer, you could work with your assigned investment officer and Karen as the technical assistance program team manager to identify some resources and potentially the use of $5,000 from MTI to pay for a grant writer, or maybe some technical editing or technical feedback services that might not be available through the TAP program. So that is in addition to our TAP services. And again, it is at no cost to the client. And it is a situation where MTI would award $5,000 and the matching contribution would be the time that the applicant is providing to put together their own SBIR proposal. Because what you'll learn at MTI is all of our investments require a match. And in this case, the match is the value of your time you're putting in to dedicate to put together your proposal to submit for SBIR funding. So once you receive, hopefully, SBIR funding, or perhaps you are in the process of waiting to get notification of SBIR funding, MTI offers some early stage grant funding that you could access in the meantime to keep those activities moving along. MTI offers range 1 and range 2 funding of up to $25,000 and $50,000 respectively for those companies that are early stage, that are seeking to develop their team to test out the hypothesis on their innovation, maybe to do some early lab testing or alpha testing. Maybe that you need additional market research, or you need to do some customer discovery efforts and you want to work with an organization or a consultant to help conduct some of those activities, MTI's early stage funding programs could help with some of those activities. These funds that we have listed here, phase 1 and phase 2, do require actual contributions from the applicant in terms of match requirements. You must meet a 1-to-1 match requirement. But again, this is a situation where some of your time can be counted as match for traditional MTI funding programs like this phase 1 or phase 2 funding. If you are successful at receiving SBIR funding, you could use the SBIR award as match to your request for MTI funding, whether it's phase 1 or phase 2 funding at that time as well. So to learn more about MTI funding overall, go to maintechnology.org and click on MTI funding to learn more about our core funding programs for the early stage activities. Next slide. Again. So a little bit about the SBIR STTR program, and Karen and I were chatting, and these numbers have certainly gotten larger, and maybe we need to do some updating. But in our nearly 25-year history, we've helped 114 businesses gain almost 400, probably over 400 awards now, raising over $115 million in the last 25 years. And not to date her, but I think Karen has been a part of all 25 of these years with all of these companies, and now that as the clock ticks on myself, I've been a part of these for the past 18 years now myself. So we've been around a while, doing this for quite a while, helping companies be successful all throughout Maine and all 16 counties. And MTI support companies do tend to get higher success rate than going at it alone, for a couple of reasons. One, our technical assistance program experts are there to guide you through the process to make sure you're putting together the best proposal possible. And another is, if you're able to successfully obtain MTI funding as well, that does bode well for the arguments you're making in terms of other organizations supporting you and having the ability to raise supporting funds outside of the SBIR space as well. Next slide.
Sorry, Shane.
No, I just I'm not going to get too much into depth in these examples, but we do have a number of examples of companies that have been successful in Maine. Chuck Donnelly at Rockstep Solutions, Unar Lab in Southern Maine, probably within the last few years, I think, received a couple of these awards, totaling over $1.5 million in early stage funding to develop their innovation. Next slide. Introspective Solutions has been around the SBIR world for some time, and Kay Aiken is now probably her own expert on putting together these SBIR proposals. But it took a long time working with MTI, but they have been tremendously successful at receiving some early stage funding from the Department of Energy. And our friends at Montalvo have raised over $1.2 million from SBIR awards, and I think they've raised nearly $1 million from MTI funding as well, where they've leveraged those SBIR awards to gain access to additional MTI funding as well.
So at this point, we're at noon, and I think we're going to have to go ahead, unfortunately, and stop it there. I did want to let you know that an email will go out with links to the presentations online on MTI's website. And I am going to take one special moment and show you this one page, if I can find it very quickly, because I think it's really, really important. Shoot, no, I can't find it. Anyways, I won't bother with your time. But at USDA's website for the SBIR program, possibly soon to be STTR, that's quite interesting, Melinda. They have a link to abstracts of previously funded proposals. And you can see in all of the 10 topic areas, the awards for both phase 1 and phase 2. And that is such an excellent tool to look at what their abstracts look like, who got the awards. And what's really important here is who could be your competition. Because if they've already funded somebody in your technology space, then it's going to be up to you to prove that your technology is different and that they should fund you as well. So the abstracts of federal programs, federal previously funded projects is something that's very important. And yes, Melinda.
May I just say really quickly, I just want to encourage anyone who's interested to work with that TAP program or to work with, you know, an organization to help with the proposals. I probably shouldn't say this, but these applications are fairly daunting, but there's so much assistance out there for you. And it really is hard for us as the USDA SBIR staff to see people not make it through the cut for the administrative review because they're missing a document or their proposal doesn't include all the elements. That is what the TAP program with the Maine Institute for Technology and a lot of other programs are there to help make sure you have everything you need. And so I really want to encourage you to do that, to work with them and whoever you can.
Great. Thank you. And to everyone who took the time out of your busy schedules to spend an hour with us to learn more about the program. Thank you. Like I said, I'll be reaching out. Christopher, yes, go ahead.
It's just, I'm just clapping. That's a clap, not a.
Oh, that's a clap. I thought that was a question. Well,
No,
thank you very much. And we are here to help MTI's SBIR Technical Assistance Program team, and we'll love working with you. And hopefully USDA NIFA will see several proposals from Maine small businesses and find them worthy of funding. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.